In the field that I'm in, I see a lot of divorce. I know you see a lot of divorce. We live in a society that is immersed in divorce. And when I talk about it, I talk so much about the husband, about the wife, about things that we can do differently. I talk about my standers who are standing for marital reconciliation. But a group that I don't talk that much to, though I may talk about, are the children of divorce. But today I want to specifically talk to you if your parents are considering divorce. I don't care if you're a young child or an adult child. When your parents are telling you that they're about to get divorced, so many of us have been told by the cultural lies that we are to accept it and we have no other option and we're to go along with it. It's going to hurt, but you'll get over it. No one seems to question that. And if they do, they're an outcast or silenced, or someone tries to convince them that they're plain old just wrong. No, well, I'm here to tell you, no, I'm here to tell you that I am seeing a new community, a new level of people, a groundswell. That's what I'm looking for, of people who are starting to stand up, no matter what the issue is. We're looking at this current movie out about sex trafficking, The Sound of Freedom, and people are standing up and rising against it. You're seeing various movies. We're seeing people stand up and rise against what they think is election fraud, or people who they don't think represent their views. We just saw in Los Angeles 7,000 Catholics that came together to tell the Los Angeles Dodgers, no more are you going to mock the Catholic faith. And so as people are rising up, even though it may not be televised, the world is watching. People are watching. All you need is for one or two or three people to watch you. Your neighbors are watching, your family is watching. So that's why I'm specifically saying we are starting to rise up as a community, as a people, as a group of people who have been victimized by divorce. And so that's why I want to talk to you, children of divorce. You have so much more power than you realize. And I'm going to tell you, this is why. So many people say, I've been planning on divorce, but I'm going to wait until my kids grow up. So that means they do care about what you think or not hurting you, because they've been fed the lies that once your kids grow up, they'll be okay, as long as you're there when they're young. And yes, I commend the parents who at least stayed together to get their kids out of school, that you at least put your children at the forefront. But I'm not really judging you parents that are divorced, but I am giving you some straight talk. You were fed a lie. It was wrong. Your kids will have extreme trauma as adults who their parents divorced while they were adults rather than just during their childhood. So sure, as an adult victim of divorce, you don't have to get swapped house to house, and you may have some memories of at least having intact holidays and family gatherings. But there's so many more trauma with insecurity and things that recent adult children of divorce said to me. Most of the problems you don't even notice until years later. So when people say, my kid said it's fine, just wait, because most don't recognize how their parents' divorce afflicted them until after they are adult and grown and start seeing the mistakes they are making, the patterns, the hurts, the trauma. So coming back to you, children of divorce, knowing that your parents love you most, even if they give you the line, we love you, but we don't love each other, which is probably true. I want you to use their love of you in the power that God gave it to you. You see, what I'm asking you to do is to tell your parents no. And again, always honor their father and mother does not mean agreeing with them. But I want you to be able to say, no, Mom, Dad, your divorce is not what's best for me and my siblings. Your divorce hurts us. And we would rather you work together. We would rather you try to fight harder. Yes, Daddy might be having an affair. Yes, Mom might be having an affair. Yes, Daddy might be using alcohol. Yes, Mom might be a gambler. But we want you to figure this out. And we are getting hurt, because if you rise up and tell your parents, this will hurt us, they are more inclined to sit back and question their own decisions. I've done videos about the community, and I'm going to continue to do videos. Those who go to these, well, you go to weddings, you sitting in the pews are not exempt from responsibility. Do you know that a marriage is not valid if you don't have at least 2 witnesses? Did you know that? Do you know why that is so? Because the act of tying a husband to a wife, the unseeable but indissoluble bond, is required the man, the woman, the preacher that's marrying them, and 2 people to say, I saw this take place. You witnesses have a responsibility. And I've done the video before. I'll do another one. When you know someone is getting divorced, you don't just sit there and say, oh, I wish that wasn't going to happen. I'm going to keep my mouth shut. You have to answer to God for keeping your mouth shut. So you children, same for you. It's not like you're going to be punished, but you may be instrumental in getting your parents to fight harder for their marriage. So many of the children that I see, they cry when their parents get divorced, and they're upset, and they tell their parents they're upset. But because of the societal norms telling them, sit down, shut up, it is expected, you'll be resilient, most of them have to try to find a way out of the pain. So when you sit in limbo, one of the worst things my standers endure is the fact that they're in limbo. I'm standing for marital reconciliation until my spouse comes back. But in some cases, that spouse will never come back. And it's very difficult. Most of my standers say, I'll do it. I'll walk across hot coals if God tells me to. I'll stand until the day I die. I just wish God would tell me if they're coming back or not. It's that limbo that is so hard, because many of us standers do get a promise from God that says, no, this marriage will be reconciled. Children, living in limbo is excruciating. 2 of my standers, because I've often said, standing is the heaviest cross you'll ever carry apart from the death of a child. And I have 2 standers in my group of 300, and they have both said, no, death of a child is harder. 2 have lost their child. Oh, excuse me. 2 have lost their child, and they both said, no, standing for your marriage is harder than the death of my child. May seem traumatizing, but for those of you that aren't standers, that do not understand this, I need you to understand that. And they say, why is it so hard? Because when your child dies, people come alongside of you. When your child dies, it can be 5 years out, and you can start crying and bawling and saying, I just hurt. And people will still come around you, and they'll hold you, and they'll get it. And they won't tell you to get over it. But when you're standing for a marriage, there's a finite period of time, usually 6 months or later, 6 months, where people start saying, don't you think it's time you should move on? Your spouse is happy. You should be happy. I just want to slap them sometimes. Okay, I'm sorry. I'm not going to slap anyone. But you just want to shake people and say, wait a minute. This is one flesh spouse. Over it when half of me is torn away. So the limbo of not knowing whether your spouse will ever come back or not is so heavy that many of us standers have to be like, I'm standing, but I'm going to go move forward. It's the difference between moving on. I'm going to move forward. I'm not going to ponder this every day. I'll pray for it in the morning, give it to God. And this connects back to children. So children of adults, of adults who are divorcing parents, in order to heal their wounds, though they want their parents reconciled, they will usually convince themselves, it's fine, mom and dad are never getting back, I'm fine. I've seen this again and again and again, until you start talking to them and questioning them, and like, well, yeah, ideally, yes. Because I'll say, you want your parents back, or your parent mom with her stepdad and your dad with stepmom? I was like, well, I can't see my dad ever reconcile with my mom. I said, that's not what I asked you. I said, would you prefer it? If you knew mom and dad could be together and be happy and control their mouths and control their behaviors, would you rather have your mom and dad together, or your mom and this strange man who's now called your stepdad, or your dad and this strange woman who you now call your stepmom? I mean, strange meaning unrelated and I'm sure they're kind and loving in some cases. But inevitably they all say, well, yeah, if they wouldn't fight, or if I knew that, they would, just not fight and look happy, I'd rather them be together. So this is why children will eventually just say, move on, standing parent. I love you, I support that, but I'm just going to side with whichever one isn't making me look at the standing every day. I can't look at standing every day. You just push it out of their minds. So while I understand it, I'm asking you, children of divorce, to do your part in this culture and do the hardest thing, because you are a victim. This is like a victim of rape rising up to beat the rapist. You're being victimized by your parents' decision to divorce, by their inability to work through whatever problems that they have. And I've seen wretched problems. Moms and dads, people watching this that are divorced, do not ever think that I'm thinking this is easy. I filed for divorce myself. I get it. I hated my husband for a time. I get it. I know what a bad marriage looks like, and all I wanted to do was run. So you're not being judged. But there's a value and a valor in sticking it out and doing it for your children, if for no other reason. But the truest reason, because even that divorce of an abusive person doesn't unmarry you. I've done that video already, so I don't want to rehash it here. I fear I keep going off the topic, though I haven't. So I want to end with this point of this: is children of divorce, rise up and say to your parents, we want you to actively reconcile. We want you to go to counseling. We want you to fight for your marriage, because it's the best thing for us, financially, emotionally, familially, and for our futures. We need you. And please do not tell me to be resilient, Mom. You be resilient, Mom. You be resilient, Dad. Be resilient and handle the pain of your marriage. Because if you're expecting me to be resilient, why can't I expect you to be resilient? Now, there is a respectful way that you can talk to your parents, and I am never, ever going to tell you to be disrespectful. Do not ever dishonor your parents. But speaking truth is not dishonorable. It's honorable. That's my story. I hope this helps. We've got to fight the scourge of divorce together, no matter what angle you're coming from the spouse who's being left, from the child of divorce, from the parents watching your children divorce, from the siblings watching your sibling divorce, from the neighbor, from someone in your church. We all have a role, because we will all have to answer to God. Why didn't you say something? Why didn't you support that couple? Why did you just let them do it? Why didn't you at least write them a note? Because we have our sins of commission as well as our sins of omission. I do not want to see mine. So fight for marriage from whatever role you have, specifically you children of divorce. Fight from your own purview. Mom and Dad want you happy. They love you. If you don't exactly know how to do it, reach out to me. I'm Dr. Christine Bacon, and you can find me at breakfastwithbacon.com. Like and subscribe on all my channels: Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, Rumble, and breakfastwithbacon.com. And I'd be glad to help. Until then, I'd like to remind you, as always, to remember to live your life sunny side up.